Hello, everyone. It's Shane Conto, your Wasteland Reviewer. Welcome to the Wasteland, my weekly show where I take a deep dive into a particular film and all aboard the Spielberg train as we get rolling into his made-for-TV movie segment of his career over the next 3 weeks, starting with one that I can't believe was made for TV, and that is, yeah, this is a TV
I
movie.
found that out just now.
Yeah, this was a TV movie. Well, it's interesting what you would consider a TV movie at this point, but that could be other discussion at some point during this show. But we're going to be talking about Duel, and I got my brother Ethan here, who is joining this week. Ethan, thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Would you like to shamelessly plug anything before we get started?
Give Dante Rowe Cosplay, all one word, a follow on Instagram. If you're into cosplay, anime, video games, anything really nerd culture related, I'm sure you'll enjoy it. So
there you go.
Do it. Do it up.
Show brother some love. But how the show works, we have 3 segments where we start with coming attractions for this week, which is Friday, the 29th of April. It's almost May already. This would have been real easy for next week. It's gonna be May. It would have been so much easier next week because it just would have been Multiverse of Madness. But then we have our feature, which is Duel, and then we have some recommendations or maybe something not to recommend to people that Ethan might have this week. So, but this week we have some films coming out from Liam Neeson, Gaspar Noé. But Ethan, which movie stood out to you that you're most anticipated for this week?
Bubble.
So let's be clear. So this is a Netflix original anime, and it is not The Bubble that came out earlier this month, which was a train wreck of a new Judd Apatow comedy. But Bubble, which is about parkour fighting teenagers who use bubbles that came down from the sky causing havoc in Japan. So Ethan, why are you excited about this one?
Well, if you know me, you know I will basically watch anything that is anime.
There you go.
I'm always trying to find new things, new anime, and feel like the plot kind of was unique. I haven't really heard anything like that before, so I feel like it'd be interesting to take a look at it.
I'm interested in hardcore parkour bubbles. And just to clarify, this specifically is coming out Thursday the 28th on Netflix. So it will be available to stream on Thursday instead of Friday. So when this releases, it would have been yesterday. But I'm also excited about that. But one thing that I could not resist being my number one is Fiddler's Journey to the Big Screen, because I'm a huge fan of Fiddler on the Roof. I was playing If I Were a Rich Man on my way to work today. I'm a huge fan of the musical, and I was disclaimer, I've seen this already. I got a screener for this for like 3 weeks ago. But this was my most anticipated because, for be perfectly frank, there's not a whole lot coming out this week except just a Liam Neeson action movie. So, but I'm a huge fan of documentaries about movies, and I love Fiddler, and this was a delight. I absolutely enjoyed the movie. So hopefully you all show it some love when it comes around. If you're a fan of documentaries, if you're a fan of making of documentaries when it comes to movies, this is definitely a worthwhile one. And especially if you love Fiddler on the Roof, which Jeff Goldblum narrates this documentary, which is also a wonderful addition, bearing the lead here, because I'm all about
That's all you had to tell me, Shane. And then I would have picked that one.
It's all about
I can listen to
Goldblum.
that guy. I can listen to him talk about literally anything. The production of soap.
Well, he probably would do an episode about soap on the world.
I'm waiting for it. I'm waiting.
Quick shout out to Take Me to the River, New Orleans, which is a new documentary that I watched this week, which narrated by John Goodman, a New Orleans
Another
native.
good one.
Yeah,
That's what he's from, New Orleans.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, which is interesting
You
because
wouldn't think of that with his not such a having an accent.
what's is funny is because he's Big Daddy in Princess and the Frog, which I could totally see him being a Big Daddy from like the Deep South, just like like Blanche and Golden Girls, like, oh, Big Daddy. Yep, that's exactly who John Goodman was in Princess and the Frog.
She
So,
was a hoe for sure.
you know what's crazy? It's like Golden Girls, and they were like in their 50s.
Well, that is
That's
isn't it
barely
your
middle.
golden years after 50?
It's like golden years is like your 70s and 80s now. Like in your 60s is still middle aged at this point because of life expectancy and just general people. But like 80s, it's like, hey, you're a woman, you're 50, you're golden age now. Just crazy. But
That's insane how like old they like even like basically all of them. If they were supposed to be in their 50s.
they were in their
Okay.
50s. Like they actually were.
I'm not gonna let's stop talking about this before I put my foot in my mouth.
Well, the thing is, Estelle Getty was considerably younger than she was the youngest actual cast member, but they made her considerably older because she was
I mean, yeah, that's what I
she was
thought.
Sophia. But like, yeah, she was actually she was younger than B. Arthur, Rue McClanahan, and Betty White. He just made her older, but she was great. But we're not here to talk about Golden Girls. That could be a whole entire episode on Wasteland Talks. I definitely talk about Golden Girls with people. But we're here
Oh,
to
come
talk
on.
about Thank you for being a friend. That's the one show that like Jess and I, if we have like a random amount of time and don't want to watch the show that we are watching, we just throw on Golden Girls. And apparently we watch on New Year's too. Seems to be our pattern of um, our rituals and traditions for New Year's now is just watch Golden Girls. So there you go. But we're here to talk about something much more aggressive, which is Duel. And this is a TV movie directed by Steven Spielberg that came out in 1971 and focuses on a business commuter is pursued and terrorized by a malevolent driver of a massive tractor trailer, starring Dennis Weaver as David Mann. And this is, like I mentioned, directed by Steven Spielberg, but written by Richard Matheson, aka the writer of I Am Legend. So he's known for writing horror and thriller novels and short stories and novella. So this was one of his. He wrote this story, wrote the screenplay. Apparently, he was. I watched a quick clip on my lovely new Steven Spielberg Blu-ray collection that I got that has Duel in it. And
Nice.
they had an interview with Richard Matheson, and he said that it was the day Kennedy died, and he was being tailgated by an 18-wheeler and on the highway. And that's where he got the idea for Duel. Because haven't we all been there? Having big ass vehicles riding up the ass of us on the highway. Or being that person, Ethan. Which,
as Ludacris would say, move, bitch, get out the way.
well, to be fair, my brother is indeed driving trucks right now. But Ethan, why did you specifically want to come on for this episode about Duel?
Nostalgia. So this all started freshman year, auto shop. Whenever our teacher in high school. His name is Mr. D, our favorite turtle. Um, whatever he didn't want to teach us is really how it went. He would throw on Duel. I mean, there was other like horror movies and stuff like Fast and the Furious and whatnot thrown in there, but the one that was like the staple, we watched it maybe like 2 or 3 times each year, and I had auto shop 3 out of the 4 years in high school. And the most specifically memories was when I was in auto shop with John and we'd be watching this movie, and I had no clue that was a Steven Spielberg movie film until you started going down the list because a bunch of his movies escaped me.
Mhm.
And of course you went in order. So like
It's literally number 2.
I was like, I'm doing that one. I didn't have to think of it. Like he's had huge blockbuster hits. And I'm like, no, we're doing this one because that was some fun time. You didn't have to do a damn thing in high school. Just watch a movie
Get
for
back
an hour.
and watch Road Rage for 90 minutes.
Oh yeah,
So
that was also when we had midterms and finals. He hated that stuff. So our thing was basically an open book and it wasn't very long. So he's like, all right, for the rest of the time we're watching this. So yeah.
wish that happened with my calculus one. Um, yeah, we watched Fantastic Mr. Fox in calculus class and Latin class and chemistry because Dobbins just kept bringing it around everywhere. Senior
Gotta be
year,
cussing me.
I'll be cussing with you, the cuss you are. But specifically, what are some of the things that you enjoy about Duel?
Um the funny thing is I did not remember ever seeing the intro of this movie. I think what the hell? We were always kind of limited on time, even with the I think in high school our midterm blocks were like an hour and 45 minutes or something like that.
Oh, it's
I
2
forget.
hours.
2 hours, yeah. I mean, we didn't have enough time to watch all 100 and not 100. Yeah,
This is just
around
90 minutes, like
90-minute movie.
clean.
We didn't have enough time to completely watch it. So I guess we skipped through the beginning and then got to the, like cut
Just
to
got
the
to the
chase.
part where they
But
started being assholes to each other.
yeah.
Yes, you indeed cut to the chase.
So I really enjoyed the intro to that movie. The whole first person view of a man starting, I guess, his commute to his client. Obviously you don't know what he's doing at the beginning of the movie because you don't know anything about him. So he's driving through, I guess, San Diego ish, or he's driving to San Diego, and you just see him going through the city, and the scenery keeps changing as time passes. And I think that intro is almost like it's at least like 8 minutes. So you get to see him starting off in a city and moving all the way out to, like a highway, and getting out into the canyons and
Where
the
bad things
desert.
happen.
Yeah. And
where there is no
I
law.
I mean, yeah, there's nobody out there. And I enjoyed that you can pretty much like feel the tension. I wouldn't say fear, I guess, because like, I mean, from his acting, you can see like how fearful he is. He's like, holy shit, like my car's made out of metal, but this freaking thing, um, I like that aspect that you really can feel the tension. And he did a really good job of conveying his fear
Mhm.
in the movie. And I thought it was interesting that I don't remember hearing music until about halfway through that movie. Something around there, like give or take, 15 or so minutes. But like movies today are filled with music. Like if
Mhm.
there's no dialogue going on, there's music going out, and you get to hear like all um the little kinks and whatnot in a vehicle. You hear like the rubber screeching on like a curve, and
Mhm.
you hear the exhaust actually, and like the actual engine. You don't just hear, like that fake like Fast and the Furious engine sounds. Like you actually get to hear what a car from like the 60s or 70s sounded like. And I feel like that also added to the tension, because it kind of felt like you were in the driver's seat and you're hearing your vehicle, you're hearing the road noise, the wind going through the opening of the window and whatnot. And then even when it got to the point where we had music, when the movie got more intense, um, I feel like that score um really did the situation that guy was in justice.
Mhm.
Like it definitely flowed with the fear that he was conveying. Um, like now that I had just watched it again after shit, like the last time I watched that, I graduated in 2009, so way too long ago.
Mhm.
So, oh no, low battery. All right, because my
Play.
okay. But yeah, between all those themes, it was like I didn't really remember it being that intense, because I mean I wasn't paying a whole lot of attention. I'm like, I have all this free time in high school, like, so now that I got to sit down and watch it um from the beginning to the end, I was like, damn, like the film was really well done, especially for something that was supposed to be made for TV and the second film that he's ever done.
Yeah, this is his
I think it's pretty
feature-length
impressive.
debut at this point, because the first film that I did was Amblin, which was a 25-minute short film about two hitchhikers. And this is a feature-length film. And what I think that a lot of people don't give Steven Spielberg credit enough for is the fact that he is an amazing director. Like people just like if you were like an auteur director, you think like Kubrick and Martin Scorsese, and you're just like, I don't think people give Steven Spielberg enough credit for being like an incredible technical director. And this movie shows that this is 90 minutes with probably like no budget. And the fact that he cranked up tension for 90 minutes and just sustained it. And narratively, like you know, these kinds of movies might potentially run into the fact that like it gets repetitive, or like how many situations can you possibly put this person in? I know I started feeling that watching The Revenant. I'm like, how many different ways can you possibly almost kill Leo in this movie? And but like this is streamlined. I never felt bored. Each new little twist to it felt fresh and interesting. Like the whole school bus thing, the train, and especially
Hmm.
even just the opening where they first started like getting tension, because like man was being a jerk too. Like neither of them were like real nice about this whole entire situation, but obviously The truck
I mean,
driver
to be
takes it.
fair, the like the first encounter's like, are you kidding me, dude? You're driving like a snail. Like that dude baited him, 100% baited him into passing him, and he's like, "All right, bitch, it's on."
Yep. Oh, and it was on. Because like you were mentioning earlier, like you could hear and feel all the vehicles, like the truck, like making it up those curves and stuff like that. You could hear it, you could feel it. The whole cafe scene where he's trying to figure out
Hmm.
who's the trucker. The editing in this movie too, between like him with his like paranoid eyes, looking at people's shoes,
The
looking for
whole
all the details, and just building all that up. And you have those like false starts, and then the amount of detail, like the smoking gun at the beginning of the movie where the guy's like ups the hood. It's like, you should really replace this thing. Oh, I'll just replace it later. Yeah, that came back to bite him. And
Mhm.
all at the end, and that climax with him like coasting, that was insane. And
That's where you really saw him like freaking the frig out, dude. He was
yeah,
sketched.
yeah, like Dennis Weaver, I don't really know from, apparently he was on Gunsmoke, McCloud. He had a small role in um the Orson Welles film Touch of Evil. But like in general, like he's not like a super well known actor, but like he does a really great job in this movie, and you feel it. Um, I don't know how much you like him, like his interactions with his wife or on the phone. I'm just like, I don't know how much I like this guy, but like I do feel bad. Like this guy's trying to murder him. Um, and it's a thrilling movie for 90 minutes, and like some of those scenes just got insane with the that like weird animal farm thing.
Yeah. And he's just doing freaking circles trying to hit the dude.
Yep. Like
And he's knocking over everything and like the
snakes are
snake's
out.
chilling there. That freaking iguana is like like running around.
And like I am because like I knew going in that this was supposed to be a TV movie and this got released on television. But like watching it, and of course, like I have this on like a remastered Blu-ray, so it does look nice too. But like there's amazing camera work. I think one of the one shots that was really cool was when they were playing chicken
Hmm.
and man gets out of his car and starts like walking to her, and like the camera just following his feet. I'm like, there's really inspired filmmaking in this. And it's like I know these videos keep popping up on TikTok all the time where it's just like, or memes where it's just like, don't worry, this is just like a theme song to like a animated like 80s show, and then the composer for DuckTales like flaming piano. It's like Steven Spielberg did not need to go this hard for a movie like this that was going to be on TV, but he went hard. And like I'm not surprised within a couple of movies he was making Jaws, because that was 4 years later he came out with Jaws, and that like skyrocketed his career. So like this is a impressive movie. It's really well made. It's thrilling. It has good central performance. I appreciate that they never actually show the trucker.
I still like it still bothers me not knowing which freaking dude. It's like they only had one pair of boots in the 70s.
Right?
Of
Well,
course, all the dudes that look like they could be truckers have the same friggin' boots.
I was convinced it was Mustachio Man. He looks sketchy as hell. Like that one guy, I'm like that.
Or he might not have even been in there.
That I think the answer to it is he didn't go in, and maybe that was him just toying with him, because he could have easily just been in like the back of his truck. or like
Yeah.
down in the cab. Because that's the thing. It doesn't seem like he was in there because it starts driving off when everybody's still around him. And then he starts running after it, trying to see what the trucker looks like. But there's just, this is a really impressive movie for something made in 1971 for TV with a guy who had never directed a feature-length film and delivers this. And it's just like, bam, beat that.
I think, yeah, the only beef I have with it
Mhm.
is trucks don't move like that. Okay? Turn radius, no friggin' way. Like, you can't maneuver the way that dude did. Especially, like, I'm pretty sure there was no power steering on a vehicle that old. And this was, that truck was not from the 70s.
Mhm.
Probably wasn't even from the 60s. It had no power steering. All right.
That guy was
And
whipping it around.
the one thing that was pretty accurate actually was him climbing that mountain. He did. If the dude's radiator hose didn't blow, he would have been gone
Yeah.
because that truck, you're not climbing a mountain. Like, you're lucky if you're doing like 30, 35 up a mountain in a truck like that. I can barely in my truck, and mine's only like 26 foot long. I'm doing like 50 without anything in my truck.
I'm pretty sure that this also was half paid for by, what was it, Chevy? Whatever kind of car that was.
I don't even know. John would know it.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what, I'm pretty sure it was a Chevy, but it's basically like they definitely paid for part of this movie because that this movie made that car seem like it was like unbeatable. And that went through a lot all the way up until, you know, where this movie goes. Like, I like on some level, I'm like, did this really, like, it was going there where this is like, this is straight up attempted murder. This guy is literally trying to murder this man, and it gets dangerous. It was funny because I was watching, it was Jess, and she's like, this is like Joyride's basically a remake of this.
Oh,
Um,
that's what it is. Okay.
and like,
Because Alex asked me, she's like, because the kids were trying to watch, because I was watching on my phone. It's like,
mhm,
what are you watching? Because she heard the music. And I'm like, it's
mhm.
not a horror movie. It's from 1971. It's PG. Like,
Yeah,
it's just a
three.
dude chasing a dude. And she's like, wait, or you're watching that movie? I'm like, it's not the movie you're thinking of. Because, and I couldn't, I thought it was Wrong Turn or something like that. But yep, Joyride is the
Yep.
movie. Yep.
Starring Paul
Okay.
Walker, Steve Zahn
Hmm.
from director John Dahl. But like, yeah, it there's definitely other movies that have done similar type things to this. But like, this is even like somebody just like, yeah, let's just throw this movie out there about some guy getting chased by a trucker. And Steven Spielberg's like, okay, see what we could do. It
Bet.
was just it's like you didn't need to go that hard, Steven Spielberg, but you did, and we all benefited from it. So, but I
Yeah,
guess
now watching it at 31 as opposed to 15, 16, and like the oldest like 19 years old, definitely appreciate that movie a lot more. Especially like how much time I've spent on the freaking road even before I started driving a damn truck. Like, I know those scenarios, and I know assholes who don't want you to pass them even when they're driving way too damn slow.
hey, I this feels like driving on 295 every day on Fury Road. Everybody's just a bunch of assholes.
At least there is a law that you can't park it in the left lane. down here in North Carolina, there's no law against that. People are driving 50 in the left lane in a 70. Okay, get the hell off the road, or I'll get you off the road.
Get off the road, or I'll get you off the road. But Ethan, do you have any final thoughts on Duel?
I just think it was an overall. I really don't think there was anything bad about that movie. There aren't too many movies out there that you can say that about. Especially when you think about it, like technically that's his first like film.
Yeah.
But not many directors are going to have something that fire. Because we've all seen it, like some just like bizarre like first film, and you're just like, Jesus, that was horrible. Like an M. Night Shyamalan, like his first like things that he was recording. Woof. Like,
But then he made the
this
Sixth
movie
Sense.
was, yeah. I mean, this movie is freaking incredible.
Yep.
So
I have 2 more TV movies, The Sugarland Express and then Jaws. And then that's where the fun begins. And basically at that point, it's basically just like big movie after big movie after big movie for like
do you know
decades.
enough people to actually cover all these damn movies?
I got my buddy Rowan, who's gonna keep making appearances all the time.
Is that who I'm playing right now? Or no?
Hmm?
I thought I liked that name. The name sound familiar. I didn't know if that's who I was actually up against this week in fantasy baseball. Squirrel.
Oh no, I don't think Rowan sports balls. Uh, but yeah, I do have Rowan helping out with a lot. He's doing something evil next week, and then he'll be on for Jaws. I have a couple of movies that I still need to get some coverage for, but the vast majority of them, yeah, nobody wants to do apparently nobody wants to do Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. It took a while
Thank
for anybody.
God this one was an hour and 20 minutes. Okay. It's a lot easier to get done with all the shit that I have than the 3.5 hour movie.
Like the Irishman. Yeah, the next 2 are an hour and 13 minutes, I think. Both TV movies. So, and then we'll get into like some big actual theatrical releases. But to wrap things up, which is our recommendations, and we do both highly recommend Duel. But Ethan, what are you recommending not to show people?
Okay. So if you have little ankle biters like I do, do not, whatever you do not let your kids watch Ryan's World. It sets ridiculous, unattainable expectations for parents and their relationship with their child. Most families are not going to be able to, both mother and father, or however the family dynamic is, be able to spend 24 hours a day with your child. Most people have to work, and a lot of families, both parents have to work. On top of that, this kid gets extravagant gifts all the time. Every episode, he's getting at least like 5, 10 or so, like ridiculous things. Okay. And they have all this time to build everything that they get and this and that. And I'm like, every parent would love to be able to do that. I don't think there's a parent out there that wouldn't. Well, you should want to, but that's whatever. But when your kid watches that and they think, and they start referencing, oh, this is what Ryan did. This is what Ryan's parents. And I'm like, no, You put the kibosh on that before it even happens. Okay.
Don't watch it.
Do not let your kids watch it because they're always going to want. I mean, kids want stuff all the time anyway because they see cool things. They're like, oh, I want that. But this makes it 10 times worse. On top of them not understanding that mommy and daddy have to go and work. You can't stay home and get 10 new toys a day and play with them. Like, even for kids that have a lot of things, like my kids, they have a lot of stuff, man. It's insane. But that show makes them want more. Because
Well,
Ryan had it. Ryan can do this, Ryan can do that. You don't want that problem. If you have kids or you're thinking of having kids or you're about to have kids, do not let them watch Ryan's World. Don't do
screw
it.
Ryan and his world and the horse he rode in on. So, so apparently don't watch Ryan's World. But two things I want to tell people to watch. So I saw a really weird and interesting quote unquote biopic called Aline, which is basically just Celine Dion's life, except they just made her fictional. So I don't even know what the point of it is, like to have other like more like liberties to like change things, but they do that crap in other biopics anyway, so I don't see what the big deal is. But it was an interesting and fun and quirky French film that takes like the story of Celine Dion and, you know, her growing up wanting to be a singer and falling in love with her manager who's like decades older than her and like doing all of her shows in Vegas and stuff like that. It's a fun movie. Now, for something completely different, is one of my movies that I rewatched, which you all should check out the latest episode of the Movie Club on Development Hell podcast. We're talking about Adaptation this month, which is Nick Cage playing Charlie Kaufman and his twin brother, both screenwriters. And this is a crazy meta drama about Charlie Kaufman, the real person, trying to write a film about a book about orchids and having writer's block. So then he wrote a movie about himself having writer's block, trying to adapt this book about orchids written by a character played by Meryl Streep. And like, this movie is crazy. And it even gets even more meta because Charlie Kaufman's on the set of Being John Malkovich. And like, you see John Malkovich and John Cusack and Catherine Keener and everything. And two times the Cage is a lot of fun. So this is such a weird movie, but I absolutely love it. And I'll have a lot of thoughts on Wednesday when we talk about it. So if the unbreakable weight of massive talent is not enough Cage for you, go watch some Adaptation too. And Pig, that movie's amazing. Go watch Pig. It's on Hulu. Nick Cage could have been nominated for Best Actor again, but the Academy was too afraid to honor the Cage. There you go. And you could also watch a new video that should be coming out shortly on the Scribe Magazine YouTube channel, which is my series, The Wasteland Vintage Roadshow, Why I Love, and this episode is about Nick Cage. So get all the Cage. Get even Face Off. Go watch some Face Off. Craziness. But that's a wrap this week on Welcome to the Wasteland. So keep tuning in on this crazy journey through the filmography of Steven Spielberg that I'll be doing until the end of December. So this is going to take me a long time. And we're still in the TV movie era, but soon we'll be getting the Jaws, which is exciting. But next week I'll have Rowan on to talk about one of his TV movies. But Ethan, thank you for coming on as always.
Thank you for having me.
Thank all of you out there for always tuning in and supporting your Wasteland Reviewer.